Hey, what's going on, everybody? So today I'm going to tell you about the 5 things that I think you need to do craft shows. So everyone is still going through this worldwide pandemic, and I've had a lot of craft shows get canceled, but fingers crossed, trying to be optimistic that once September rolls around, or August, September rolls around, that my large craft show season starts. So in case there's a lot of you doing the same thing, sitting around making things in your shop and contemplating maybe you want to start selling them, I'm going to give you the 5 things that I think you need to do craft shows. The hidden number 1, because I'm not going to include it because it's obvious, but product. You need a lot of product. A lot of people ask me, how much stuff should I take to craft shows? And I usually tell them as much as you can make. Because even if you don't sell it all, you can use it the next week or the next show or whenever that happens to be. So try to take as much as you can. And this is a toss-up between some other people that say you should stick with one product. I particularly think that you should have a couple different product lines, I guess you would say. So like for myself, I'm a turner for shows. So I have pins, bowls, razors, utensil holders, and a whole bunch of stuff within the turning, I guess, family, simply because not everyone wants a bowl, not everyone wants a pin. So I feel like with the more of a product line, you have the more potential to make a sale, seeing as you're not limited to just one item. So the hidden number 1 is products, but let's go and start with the actual list. So my first thing is your tent. Of course, not everyone does shows outside, but most craft shows are outdoors, especially in the South. Out of the about 20 I do a year, only maybe 2 of them are indoors. So a tent is essential. You need a good tent. I've started for my first couple of years borrowing a tent from one of my other craft show buddies, and I used an easy up tent like this. These tents are not that expensive. You can get them online, you can get them at different stores. There's a whole different range of tents. A lot of shows I do only require you to have white tents. So that's what I would do. I would personally only get a white tent. I don't think it's a good idea, even if you're wanting to brand your tent with a particular color, because most shows want every tent to be white. Now you can put different things on those tents, to set yourself apart, but they need to be white. My tent is a Trimline. It's made with these poles. This is just a sample of the poles that I have. Everything else is in the trailer. I'll show you that. So all these pieces get snapped together and form the structure of the tent. Is it the easiest thing to put together? No. I think it's the best thing that I've ever done for craft shows, have this tent, because it's foolproof with weather. You don't have to worry about any kind of water getting in. The wind hardly affects it because of this design, and it's a whole lot beefier than the Easy Up. But this is a lot more expensive. I'll have links down to their website where you can go check them out. But that's my first thing, is a tent, because you want to make sure that you and your products are good in the weather, especially because most craft shows are 2 days. Some people pack up their stuff at night and some people don't. So me personally, I would rather have my stuff protected if it's gonna rain at night and or wind. If it's a tornado, nobody's safe. You can't do anything about that. But for general weather that you're gonna have at a craft show, this tent is amazing. Granted, if you have not done a craft show before, I would not invest in this tent yet until you know craft shows are something you're gonna do more long term. The Easy Up tent is the way I'd go. So I almost forgot one of the most important things of the tent that I think is the weights. A lot of shows I do require you to have weights. You have to have weights to do the show, about 40 pounds per leg. These are my weights right here. They are 150 pounds each, drums, their barrels full with sand. This is really overkill just because I don't want to have to worry about anything. I know a lot of people, I'll link down below, that use the Easy Up weights. You fill them full of sand and they just hang from the edge. Chances are your tent's not going to go anywhere, but I go a little overboard with what I do. So some other people take cinder blocks, tie a rope to them, hook it to each leg of the tent. Some people also, what I used to do was take a 4-inch piece of PVC, put a cap, glue a cap on one end, pour some concrete in, drill a hole through another cap with an eye bolt, and put it into the concrete, and then there's your another weight. So there are multiple different ways to weigh down your tent, but the key is important to have weights because you do not want to be liable if a windstorm comes and your tent blows over and damages someone else's product. But number one is a tent. I'll link down below the variations of a couple different ones I recommend. Let's go to the next one. Numero dos. So number two is a display. The display is very important in craft shows because you want your work to be presented very well. If people can't really see it, the chances of getting it purchased is lower. So having it where everything is spaced and nicely presented is key. So this is one of my displays. I actually have a couple different versions. That's also a good thing. Whatever you think your display needs to be, because you never know what's going to happen, where your booth's going to be, or how the setup needs to happen, definitely think of a display that can be changed and moved in different ways. Because, little example, my first craft show I ever did, I had my tent set up in the backyard, my tables, had everything laid out perfect the way I was gonna set it up for that weekend. Get to the show, a tent is in a way where the display that I was gonna use was not gonna work because people were gonna enter in both sides. So it is key to have a display that can be manipulated and moved around for however you need to have it set up. But here's one of my various displays. I do have, I'll show you some pictures of it finished, but I have 3 of these. Shelves go in it, they collapse, easy to transport and move around, but they open up, the shelf goes in, and then you can sit your product through it. I have a video where I made my display, but the shorter version, I'll link it right up here. Also, links in the description if you want to see that. But if you're not doing this kind of thing, like this would work for pottery, woodworking. If you're doing cutting boards and stuff, maybe you need to go a different route. I do recommend a display that stair steps, so everything's just not flat on the table. That way people can see it without having to look behind things is a good idea. But if you're doing art, you know, paintings, drawings, hanging that up on, you know, on a wall that you've made in your booth would be ideal rather than something like this. Another thing that I use for my display is tablecloths. I have these tablecloths, I put them on top of folding chairs, and then I have those A-frame things that, shelves that go on top. That way I can put things on the table, then I can put things on shelves, so it gives people where they can see everything without having things block, you know, other items, which is key. But a display is key. I'll also include as like a side note in display is signage. It's important to have signage in your booth because you want people to know who you are and remember you down the line if they buy something. So that's why I kind of created Ox in the Shop, because it's different, it's interesting, people kind of like my logo when they see it. So trying to have something that sticks in people's heads when they come in your booth so that they remember you, and or it's easier for them to, you know, search you later. Signage in your display is important. You can hang that on the outside of your booth. You can put that on your, you know, I have a desk. I'll also link that here. I have plans for it available as well, where I'm organized, where it makes my booth look like a shop. I want mine to look like, you know, you're going into a store. So I have plans for it. But signage on it and business cards can also be included in, I guess, display. A lot of people I know don't like business cards because you do not get much return on them for as many as you give out. But I personally think, you know, how much are business cards? Maybe 20 bucks for 100, or probably even less than that. 20 bucks for maybe 250 from Vistaprint. If you get, you know, that one person that calls you, which I've had before, and they buy, you know, 50 pens. Well, putting out those 250 cards is definitely worth that. Granted, the percentage is very low, but I feel like business cards do help you get business. You know, that's just my personal opinion. But yes, number 2 is display. Very important. You want your stuff to look good. Number 3. So number 3 is accepting money. How to accept money, different ways. I have a cash box where I keep, you know, ones, 10s, 5s, 20s, all that different stuff, as well as change. But the way craft shows have gotten now in the world is you're not going to make a lot of money unless you accept debit cards, credit cards. So I particularly use the PayPal card reader. I don't know if you can see that. The PayPal Square is another thing that people use a lot of. That's probably the most popular one. The only thing I don't like about Square is sending your money to your bank account. You don't really see it. Like you can't use your money until it's in your bank account. With using PayPal, as soon as you swipe someone's card at a show, say you know you need to buy inventory now for next week, you can go ahead and pay with PayPal and pay with that money. That's not something Square allows you to do. PayPal also gives you a PayPal debit card. So if you're leaving from the show and you need to buy gas, you can use that debit card for the money that you haven't transferred yet, and still be able to spend that money. That's the one. I don't use that debit card. They gave it to me, but I do not use it. I do like the feature of where you can use this money before transferring it, because a lot of times what happens is I transfer all my money on Monday after the weekend show, and I usually have it in my bank on Tuesday. But a lot of times I need to order stuff on Monday so that I have it in time to make it for that next weekend. So I will order stuff with the PayPal money in my PayPal account first, and then whatever I have left, then I take that and transfer it to my bank account afterwards. But very important, PayPal, Square, there's other services that you can get where it's, regular handheld units are more of like an actual store rather than running it off your phone. The one downside that PayPal does not have is if you do not have internet at a show, you cannot save the payments. Square does have that feature, so if that's something you think you might need, you can use Square. The only problem that I see with that is it does not know if the person's card is declined or not when you swipe it. So what happens is you swipe the person's card, then it goes in offline mode. It stores it. When you get Wi-Fi later, it runs it. So if you were to sell, say, a couple $100 or $100 worth of product, swipe their card, it saves it, they take the product, you get home, it tries to run it and comes back declined. There's really nothing you can do about it. You lost that. Now, I haven't heard anyone that has had that problem. That is something that can happen. So when you're using your card readers to accept payment, you're gonna need your phone or an iPad or anything. So what I use is, I made this stand, and I might remake this and make a video of it later. If you're interested in that, let me know and I'll do it. But my iPad goes in here, Bluetooth to the card reader, so that the idea of it is I can sit here on my desk, type up the order, people have to sign the receipt, I can flip it to them, they sign the receipt, flip it back to me, I can make sure everything's done. So you need a phone or an iPad if you are going to accept credit cards, which I definitely recommend. I like the iPad method because this does not leave my desk, so this is not going to get dropped. Handing someone my phone kind of freaked me out a little bit. That's why I went this way, because if they were to drop my phone, are they going to pay for it? Probably not. Is it going to make me mad? Probably yes. So that's the reason why I went with the iPad. Plus, I actually get a lot of compliments on this. Definitely number 3, again, a little recap, is accepting money. You need some kind of cash box or way to hold your money to give people change, and card reader, whether it's PayPal, Square, or the other variations that there is. I'll have Amazon links for this and the Square down below. This one, okay, number 4 is quote unquote a toolbox. So when you do craft shows, you never know what you're gonna need. So I definitely recommend having a toolbox or a tote or something that has all the different things you need, whether it's gonna be hammers, stakes, clamps. So I have other like Irwin metal clamps that I keep in the trailer. You never know when you need to clamp something down. Your tablecloth's flopping around and messing everything up, so you need to squeeze it to the leg. You never know. So clamps is definitely something I have in my booth at all times. Other things you might need is stapler, tape, pins, clips, because craft shows will give you usually like a nameplate and you have to display that somehow, whether it's pinning it to your tent. I actually pin mine to my checkout desk So that's something else you need. So if you're like me and you do shows in the South or in the summer or anytime it's warm, another thing that I recommend you have is a fan. I have 2 fans. I usually carry batteries, extra batteries, because these are awesome. So fans, I will have these linked down below if you want them. These are awesome. The Ryobi fans are the best. I think they're the best. Even if you're, if you're in the Ryobi platform, it's good. If not, you can get this fan and a battery and a charger relatively cheap compared to other brands. But if you walk around any craft show and just look around, people have tons of these. So these come in handy, link down below if you need to get you some. Something else that I keep in my booth, and I have, is because I have some shows that are in dingy areas under a lot of tree cover, and I like to have my booth well lit so people can see my stuff, because my stuff is shiny, and it gets more shiny when you have light on it. So I have these Ryobi lights. These are relatively bright. They got a couple different modes, and I carry different batteries, and you can hang it. I even carry another thing that I always keep are the rubber coated like wire ties where you can tie things up, and I'll hang these to the top of my tent and point them any different direction that I want. Or, sometimes you're packing up for your show real late and sitting these around so you can see what you're doing while you're loading your art into your vehicle, trailer, SUV, anything like that comes in handy. Something else that I recommend I'm actually using on my phone right now to record this is this little Ryobi power inverter. So you plug a battery in it, it's got USB, so you can charge your phone. I think this is very important. Like I showed earlier, I don't actually use my phone to run credit cards. I use an iPad. So I need to, in case it gets dead or my card reader gets dead, I can charge it with this. I'll link this down below. This is awesome. And I'll also link some other portable chargers that you can use as well. But to me, using this and a big battery will last me all weekend. I won't have to worry about anything. So back to your toolbox. When I say toolbox, I mean just like your be prepared, I guess, box or whatever you want to call it. Just walked through while I was editing, and she did not like why I was calling it the be prepared box. So she says we need to call it the Craft Show Survival Kit. So that's what we're going to call it. But anything you might need, definitely take it, because there's been plenty of times you get to a show, something comes up, you wish you had a particular clamp, hammer, tool, pliers, screwdriver, something, and you don't have it. So definitely keeping a toolbox of any possibility of things you have, within reason. You can't take your whole shot, but within reason is something that you need to be thinking about, because it's always good to be prepared. So that's number 4. And number 5, and the last thing that I think you need to definitely consider when you're doing craft shows is storage, transportation, how to get your art from your shop to the show. I use a trailer. I know not everyone has a vehicle that they can use a trailer, but I use a trailer. Depends on your setup and if you're going to do this for a long time. I like the trailer. So this is my trailer. It is a 6x12 enclosed trailer. I'll give you a little tour of it. So 6x12 enclosed trailer. It's got a door on the side that I can get in and out. And then let's go to the back. The back is a ramp, and it folds down so that you can walk in it and get your stuff. So let's take a look inside. So it is messy in here, but this is where I think you need to look. So I use totes. Mostly all my stuff right here is bowls. So yes, they stack and nest into each other, so that makes my life a lot easier. But everything into these totes, and it gets me where I can transport it from the trailer to the show. Because there's a lot of shows that you can get your vehicle to your booth, so you can just unload it. But there's other shows that you have to park and haul everything. So when that happens, that is where this wagon comes into play. I'll link this wagon and some other wagons and hand trucks that I recommend. This is very useful because if it's at one of those shows, I take this, I stack up as much stuff as I can into it, strap it down, and can roll it all the way to my booth. Definitely something like this is necessary if you're not in a trailer and you're just in a vehicle. I have a link down below for like some folding hand trucks that you can use. That way they take up less space. And if you look, there's my clamps that stay and my desk right there, because I keep them. And then there's the shelves for the display, signage, more shelves for display. Here is the other shelves over here for this display. You know, so depending on what you're making, you need to accommodate your storage needs for that particular art. I use the totes because that just fits for what I got, and I like it, and it makes it easy to move around. So thanks for watching this video, everybody. Again, that was my 5 things, in my opinion, I think you need for craft shows. If you disagree, you know, leave it down in the comments. Write what you think is something maybe I left out. But in the description, I'll have some Amazon links to tents, weights, card readers, and a bunch of other stuff that I use in craft shows if you're interested, so go check those out, as well as some other videos that I've already made that are craft show related, like video where I'm showing you how I put together my booth, a video of my checkout stand, and making my display. So if you're interested in those, go check them out. So if you haven't subscribed already, definitely think about doing so, and click that bell notification so you don't miss out on any of the videos that I'm posting. Currently, I'm still doing 2 videos a week, so click that bell so you don't miss out on any of those. So thanks for watching again, everybody, and I'll see y'all in the next one.